So, um, I'm going to get into something now. And this is going to be obviously, I'm going to cut this into it's an individual video later, but I want to talk about something. So, there's another big thing revolving around training camp, but this is going to take me down a bit of a side quest here, if I'm going to use a gaming term. Um, so I there's someone that um I think gets overlooked on this team. I honestly think it's borderline insulting. Uh, I don't know why this player gets overlooked. I don't know why. Um, he's so undervalued. He doesn't get talked about, and yet he's a big, big, big part of what makes this team great. And uh, I mean, it's not, and it's the national media just does not. They just overlook him. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy. His name is let's see what I got here. How do I pronounce this? Pronounce this uh, Joseph Burrow. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of that guy. Um, Now I'm being a little funny, but I'm also being a little serious too. Um, so Burrow gets appendicitis, and apparently had to have an emergency appendectomy, which is more serious than what we thought in the beginning. But like honestly, especially with my background in healthcare, when they announced that, like, I mean, it came out of nowhere. Like, oh, Joe Burrow is having an appendectomy. We'll find out more. We'll let you know more when we find out. And I'm like, that doesn't sound planned. And no offense, but if they knew about it, they would have done it earlier. I mean, at the time I was thinking there's a possibility they're just like, hey, look, this is bad. It's starting to get bad. Let's go get it right now. And then when I saw him, what was it like 3, 4, 5 days after the surgery? Nobody had seen him the entire time. And like 5 days after the surgery, he's out there. He's sitting on a golf cart, and he's got this netting sleeve over his arm. I didn't know exactly what that was. That's to protect the IV line they have in, and that means he's getting IVs, and that means antibiotics. And my first thought was like, oh, this wasn't planned at all. This was shit, 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 shit. We got to get it out right now. Which it was. It was an emergency appendectomy. So, and I say that because for those who don't know, um, if you're unaware, an emergency appendectomy, while it is something that happens and is common enough in the sense that it's not out of the norm, do not let yourself think for even a second that that is nothing. That's not a big deal. No, that's fatal, potentially. If they didn't get it out there fast enough, which means they had to go in rougher than they would have liked to have. That's what that means. That means the surgery was more invasive than they would normally. It's not laparoscopic. They had to just knock him out, put him on a table, knock him out, cut, go in, get that puppy out, because it can be quite fatal. So, now at the same time, thankfully, I guess, I mean, first of all, thankfully they found it. Thankfully they caught it. Second of all, thankfully it happened early enough that Joe was able to get back into shape, get back and ready to go day one, game one here this Sunday. So, whoever's looking out for him, thank you. Appreciate that very much. I only had a mild heart attack when I heard that. So, Man, that tequila's good. Um, so getting into where my tangent's going, um, why? Well, let's talk about this real quick. If you don't know already, Burrow was just recently on the Pat McAfee show. I think, well, today's Friday, so it was, I think it was yesterday, Thursday, Wednesday, something like that. Um, and I really like the Pat, like, so the I don't watch all the sports channels. I don't do that anymore. I used to be an absolute fiend and I'd watch virtually everything. And then I realized might as well just shovel turds right into my brain. There's a lot of talking heads that I don't like. Let's start with Nick Wright. I mean, he's an absolute Chiefs homer, and that can be adorable, except for when you sound insane and stupid, and you can't even be honest about your own team. And so that's like, let's get into this. That's one thing I'll promise here. I'm not saying I'm going to go be some big time sportscaster or local legend here or anything like that. But on here, yes, I wear this Bengals cap. Yes, I've got my shirt. Yes, I've got my jerseys. Yes, I've got my, my fandom. But if I was doing this in, let's go 2017 or 2018, you'd hear me ragging pretty hard on the pathetic performance that I just saw the previous Sunday. God knows we didn't play on Mondays very often with Dalton and Lewis. Okay. Um, so, um, but I really enjoyed um, his interview on McAfee. Um, I mean, there's a few things I took away. He's talking about how the thing he hated about this really nasty hit he took against from the Eagles was that he had to take off one play, and McAfee's like losing his mind back there. He's like, "What are you talking about, dude? You're crazy," and that's a football player. And I mean, McAfee was, I mean, everybody knows he was a punter, but he was like one of the more physical punters I've ever seen. I mean, he would lay dudes out for trying to return, you know, punts in his direction. I mean, he was super physical. Um, I mean, he's as manly and gritty as a punter gets. Um, and Burrow's just talking about he hated the fact he had to take one play off to get his wind back. He talks about how he was raised old school football, and football's about hitting and getting hit. And McAfee and his crew are talking about like, hey man, you got hit plenty. You don't need to get hit no more. Just stay behind your line and maybe don't take those high risk plays. And he's like, no, it's what I do. I for one hope he doesn't get hit anywhere near. I like half or less. Let's go with half or less. Let's go with like 35 sacks or less all year. You know, um, I'd like it to be about maybe 15, 20, right? Um, and then something he said, which it seems obvious, but I don't know how many quarterbacks actually do this. He was talking about he's ready to do whatever the game requires of him. And I think I heard him say it a different way in another interview where he talked about I'll be whatever or whatever Joe Burrow I need to be to win this game. I'll do that. If it's throw for you know 400 yards and 6 touchdowns, I'll do that. If it's throw for 150, protect the ball, don't turn it over, and just keep handing it to Mixon, then I'll do that. And I think that's really amazing. That's a huge, huge comment. I think it's something that can get overlooked because I think you get a lot of QBs right now. This newer, younger generation, it's about stats, it's about the brand, it's about being a superstar and a celebrity and all this other stuff. And that comes with the position. Um, but it's weird. You see some quarterbacks, and it's almost like they try to put that first. Like that is the most important thing, is make sure I get my aerial, my passing stats, maybe get a few running touchdowns, um, maybe get a couple good shows on the highlight reel, and then, you know, we should be winning games. And then, I got to build my brand. I got to make sure my clothes are on point, blah, 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 blah. And it's weird because Burrow does some of these things. But with him, I get the distinct impression none of that comes first. That's all just extra. His game day attire, extra. His brand, JB9 or whatever the hell it's going to be, extra. At the end of the day, he is all about who are we playing? How are they going to play us? How best do we attack that or defend against that and attack it? And what do I need to do that? If that means I need to have a terrible fantasy stat day, done. Fine. Sign me up. What do you want me to do? You just want me to hand it off to Joe all day? Got it. Mixon's going to get the ball. I'm just going to get the hell out the way. If it's I got to pass it to Tyler Boyd and Hayden Hurst and get short shots all day, fine. 1,000 cuts. Let's do it. If it's big bombs to Chase and Higgins, fine. Let's do that. That is awesome. Now, I've watched him play, and that's who I see. But for him to say it just confirms the kind of guy I thought he was. Because it seems like, especially in the second half of the season, I felt like they were definitely kind of doing this. We're going to be whatever we need to be to beat this team. If it's going to be a running day, it's going to be a running day. If it's going to be a long bomb day, if it's going to be a short pass day, whatever it's going to be, that's what we're going to do. So, and then I like he mentioned, he credits the Blackburns when they were talking about Pat McAfee Show loves to rag on the Bengals and playfully. Let's be honest, it's not. I don't think it's mean spirited. But playfully rib them for not having an indoor practice facility, which they're now going to get it. And, they kind of tried to get Joe to say something a little bit. And Joe just, just like a boss, he just walks right around that comment and then just praises the ownership and the Blackburn specifically. And, with kind of making, moving the franchise forward. The production values on game day are huge, higher than they have ever been. And I did love one other comment before I get to my point here. He said something about, like, they talked to him about, do you ever trash talk? And he says, no. He says, I don't usually start it. But when somebody starts trash talk, I'll try to finish it. And I love that comment. That comment was phenomenal. I love that. Yep. Finish it. Shut them up. I love that. So, why is it that Burrow keeps getting overlooked? And this is mostly by national media because, let's be honest. I saw a meme and I wish I had it. I didn't have it, and I really want to put it up here. And it was like basically it was two Jehovah's Witnesses, and they had the text bubble, and it says, "Do you have time to talk about Joe Burrow?" Because that's how we all are in this city right now. I remember the Palmer years, and Palmer was really good. But Palmer, personality-wise, was, beige paint drying on a wall. He gets up there at a podium, and, he's just, there's no juice in that man. Everybody can be mad as they want about how he left and everything. I'll be honest, at the time, I felt about the same as Palmer did. I'm obviously not. But I was so fed up with the clown show, the reclamation projects of problem children from other teams that ended up just causing problems, or the fact that they didn't bother to do their damn research or homework on any of the players that they drafted, or the players they draft, and then they become gigantic problem children. And I'm not okay with what he did, but I would be an absolute hypocrite if I sat here and said I can't understand why he did what he did. Now, him going out there on Super Bowl row and kind of bashing the Bengals at least moderately, getting his little stings in, a little ribs in, a little stick it right in the ribs there. That's kind of a dick move, dude. You had a chance with the Cardinals. If you wanted to, you should have won that damn Super Bowl, man. Or you should have got to that Super Bowl, I should say. But why does Burrow keep getting overlooked? I think the first thing is these national commentators, these talking heads, their job is to talk about football. That's what we all know. They're probably number one on their job title description is talk football. That's great. But it's not just talk football. I think some of them are also, I would say the younger ones, they also feel like their job is to say outrageous stuff. You can be a little outrageous and, we can call it a hot take or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, sometimes you can say outrageous stuff and just sound like a total dumbass. I mean, you've got Nick right here sitting here talking about how, like, basically the Chiefs and everybody else are chumps. Like, dude, are you out of your mind? The Chiefs are a really good team. Do not get it twisted with me. But they are not unbeatable. They are not I don't know. They're not the Bulls. They're not Tiger Woods in his prime. They're not unbeatable. Get over yourself. This is football. At the highest level, any good team can lose if they start drinking a little too much of their own Kool-Aid, maybe don't prep as hard, maybe party a little too hard, whatever it is. The difference between the best team and the worst team in the league is like about, I don't know, that much. It's not that big a difference. That's why you can have teams that went 2-14, or, well, yeah, 2-14. Yeah, that's right, it's 17 games now. 2-14 and go, 11-5, or I guess it'd be 11-6 now. After one draft and one offseason. So, I mean, the Chiefs are a good team. Patrick Mahomes is a really good quarterback. Andy Reid is a great coach. But some of these commentators, I think there's another thing that causes them to overlook Burrow. Now, there's a few of them that know what Burrow is, and I think they don't talk about him. They try not to talk about him too much because they don't want to get into over-talking him. And right now, Cincinnati's a small market. We don't have a history of being great or amazing. We don't have a history of having amazing quarterbacks just one after another. We don't have that history. So we don't get that kind of talk. But I think it's also because a lot of these commentators they love flash and sizzle. Because there's some times that they are just slobbering over some of these quarterbacks, and I'm just thinking, like, what are you smoking? I mean, they're sitting here talking about Kyler Murray like he's done something. And they're just falling all over themselves to talk about how amazing Kyler Murray is. Oh my gosh, Kyler Murray, he's so amazing. What's he done? I'm not saying he's bad. He's not bad. But they're talking about him like he's Tom Brady reincarnate. He hasn't done anything yet. Why don't we wait until he does something first? And then that goes into another one. Lamar Jackson. Look, Lamar Jackson's he's been pretty awesome for the Ravens. I haven't always enjoyed Ravens week because of him. Been quite a few times I really didn't enjoy Ravens weeks because of him. But is he some kind of like transformational quarterback? No. He's primarily a running quarterback who has gotten better at throwing, but I don't know if anybody calls him elite at throwing. Is he a bad quarterback? No. Was there a time when I wanted the Bengals to draft him coming out? Absolutely, because, well, we had Andy Dalton. So what do you want me to say? I wanted something, I wanted quote unquote different. And whatever fits into that word, that's what I wanted at that time. I was done with Andy Dalton. Nothing against him. He's a super nice guy. He is I mean, upstanding guy, great for the community and everything. And he wasn't a bad quarterback during his time, but he wasn't great either. He had a floor and a ceiling, and his floor most of the time wasn't extremely low. He wasn't extremely terrible, but he also wasn't really good either. He was just fine. Andy Dalton was fine. He was a good to sometimes above average quarterback, depending on who was around him and how things were going. But he was not the kind of guy who was going to put this team on his back and will them to wins. That's just not what he was. So was there a time when Lamar Jackson was coming out from Louisville and I'm like, yeah, let's draft him. He's there. It's at the end of the first round. Oh my God, let's draft him. And they didn't. That's okay. Am I happier now that we don't have him? Oh yeah, come on. We got Joe Burrow. I'm far more happy about having Joe Burrow. But Lamar is a lot of flash and sizzle. That doesn't mean he can't win games. That doesn't mean that he can't even, potentially win a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Of course, I don't know how that's going to go because there's a lot of trouble in paradise over there in Baltimore because apparently he gave them a deadline to give him a legit contract offer and they did not, at least in his mind, they did not. And so now we're going to get into this thing where you've got what is it going to be? We're going to be franchise tagging and he's going to be holding out or something. So anyway, but a lot of these commentators, they love flash and sizzle. That's why they just fell all over themselves about Cam Newton. And then they also get really infatuated with the guy who has a cannon. Oh my God, how many times have I heard that? You've got Josh Allen in Buffalo, and then you've got Justin Herbert in San Diego. Or what? I'm sorry. Wow, that's old. Los Angeles Chargers, formerly of San Diego. And they get so infatuated with this guy with a cannon, guy with a cannon, guy with a cannon. Now, admittedly, Josh Allen and Justin Herbert have legitimate other qualities. They don't just have a big arm. I mean, the most prototypical big arm quarterback that everybody kind of fell all over was Jamarcus Russell, and he was an absolute bust because he didn't want to study. He didn't study anything. He was terrible. Oh, he could throw at 75 yards. Who gives a shit if nobody's down there and you don't know what play you're running? So, but they get so infatuated with all of this flash and sizzle. And look at Joe Burrow. Now, if you look beyond the surface, there is so much there. But on the surface, does he have a lot of flash? Does he have the biggest arm? No. Is he most athletic? No. Not. He's not bad at any of those things. He's got a pretty good arm. He's got kind of sneaky athleticism. I mean, he's shifty. He can make people miss. He can go get that important first down, which is one of the things I will say that Andy Dalton was always really good at. He knew when he could make a scramble and go get a first down, and he would just do it. Joe Burrow, I think, is probably a little better in that department as far as his athleticism, his speed, and things like that. But there's something like And I'm going to make a comparison here, and I'm not going to sit here and say that Joe Burrow and Tom Brady should be talked about from an aspect of career wins, potential number of Super Bowls that they're going to be able to claim, or any of that. Um, but there is something that Brady and Burrow have in common right now. Think about Brady. We're talking about the GOAT. Capital G, capital O, capital A, capital T. The GOAT. It's not up for debate, and I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. It's not. Brady is going down as the GOAT until somebody unseats him, and that's all there is to it. But how many times have I heard, but Aaron Rodgers is so much better? Well, because he throws a prettier ball? Because he got a bigger arm? He doesn't have the wins? Ooh, he's got individual awards, MVPs. So what? Those individual awards are nice. Those individual awards, they'll get you into Canton. Sure. But last time I checked, Aaron Rodgers has a lot of individual awards, but he has one Super Bowl. Has he even appeared in more than one Super Bowl? I don't think he has. So maybe he's been in one. One other, I mean. But my point being is that got a nice comment here. Burrow has moxie. Yes, he does. He's got that it factor, that X factor, whatever you want to call it. He's got juice. And he's also got an extremely awesome, quiet sense of leadership, like where he doesn't have to yell, but when he talks, people listen. But he also listens. So he knows the give and take of leadership. But anyway. But all I ever hear is, oh, Aaron Rodgers is so much better. Well, let's let him get 5 more Super Bowls and then we can talk. Then we can talk about how much better he is. But until then, Tom Brady never had the most athleticism. He wasn't the most athletic. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the strongest. He didn't have the biggest arm. But he's got the brain. And he's got the accuracy. And he's got the leadership. And he'll do whatever he needs to do to put his team in a position to win, as opposed to looking out for himself. He's built a brand. But of course, you can do that when you're winning 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Super Bowls. Weird how that works. It's weird how the winning on the field and the results and the lack of extra room in your trophy case allows you to build your brand. So maybe try putting that first. And so that's where I think Brady and Burrow do have a comparison, in the sense that Brady to this day gets talked about like, oh, well, yeah, but he's really good, but he's no Aaron Rodgers. Like, what kind of crack are you on? And the same kind of way they talk about that, I feel like we talk about, the national commenters talk about Burrow. And it's like, oh man, nobody can beat the Bills. They're talking about the Bills this year like they're already going. They might as well just pencil them in. They're in the Super Bowl. And they might get there. Don't get me wrong. They are a very, very good team. And they absolutely destroyed the Rams last night. I mean, they just mopped the floor with them. And I've already heard a few people in some of the local groups saying that, well, this just proves that the Rams didn't deserve to win the Super Bowl over us. And the only thing I'll say is me personally, I'd pump the brakes on that a little bit. Only because the Rams team last year and that team that was wearing those uniforms that I saw last night looked like two different teams. It really did. That team last year had juice. They had energy, just like the Bengals did. That's why I was so scared. I'll be honest with you. I didn't want to see the Rams. I would have rather seen the Buccaneers. I would have rather seen the Green Bay Packers. because those were two teams that I thought were definitely beatable. But when you get into these, the potential matchups and stuff last year, the Rams were the one I really didn't want to see, because I saw a similar level of juice. They had that slow burn build that didn't start off perfect, but then they just built and built and built and built. So, but I'm just, Josh Allen's a really good quarterback, and he's on a really good team. And Justin Herbert's a really good quarterback and potentially on a really good team. And Kyler Murray's, he's exciting to watch. Lamar Jackson, except for the fact that he's on the Ravens and I don't like that team at all, he's an exciting quarterback to watch. But I feel like, a lot of these national commentators get so lost in flash and sizzle, and I just don't waste my time on that. I respect the ones that put in the time, put in the work, do it quietly, go out there and handle their business on Sundays, and but still have that killer instinct. I've seen it in Brady before, I've seen it in Manning, and I've seen it in Burrow, especially when he absolutely just they just laid the Ravens out last year. I mean, the second beating was worse than the first. And, the Ravens are whining and crying. But, I don't remember the Bengals whining and crying when the Ravens whooped us pretty bad 3 times prior. Burrow's rookie season, they absolutely spanked the crap out of us and just kept laying it on and adding on and adding on. Well, that's football. If you don't like it, stop it. Otherwise, sit down, shut up, and take your lickings. So, I think if this year is a good year, and I very much suspect it will be, I expect Burrow will start to get more of the talk that we want to hear as Bengals fans. But at the same time, doesn't hurt my feelings at all that they're disrespecting him, that they're overlooking him, that they're saying, "Oh, well, that was just a flash in the pan. That's just 1 year. It's Cincinnati, for Christ's sake. they're Cincinnati. I mean, they suck. Whatever. Let them talk, because Burrow hears it, the team hears it, Taylor hears it. I mean, that's just fire. That's just fuel right on the fire. So, okay, let's see here. Where are we at? Got a few comments. Yeah, Burrow has moxie. Yes, he does. In spades. But I am really looking forward to this season. I think the Bengals have a chance to get back to the playoffs. I think we can get back to the Super Bowl. Maybe I'm drinking Kool-Aid. Don't know. Right now I was drinking tequila, but that's all gone now, so say what you will about that. But I'm looking forward to the season, and I'm looking forward to doing more live streams, whether they be Bengals related like this, or pop culture, or eventually I'll get into. I'll probably have some things I want to talk about from a parenting perspective, lessons I've learned or whatever. But those ones are difficult because they have to strike me at the right time, and I gotta, like, the juice has to be present on those. But I'm enjoying doing this. Hopefully I fixed a lot of the issues from the previous one, especially the audio issues. That echo was annoying. Thankfully it didn't last forever, but it was annoying as heck. So probably over the weekend here, I'm going to split up these videos into some smaller chunks. I'll repost those on the YouTube channel. Of course, these are also going to be found on the Way of the Dad podcast Rumble channel. Rumble takes about a day longer because it's, I guess they're kind of synced up to each other, but it has to be on YouTube first, and then Rumble will eventually recognize it and pull it over. So YouTube and Rumble are probably the most primary places I'm going to be putting myself right now. Eventually, I will get the audios of last stream and this stream up on just podcasting, just audio podcast, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I appreciate everybody who tuned in. I appreciate everybody who listens after the fact and wants to leave a comment. Please leave a comment. I will get back to you, especially if it's not, spam. You know, click here to, for the Nigerian prince's $10 million that he doesn't know how to get rid of or something like that. I'm probably not going to respond to that one. But if I could ask one thing, please like and share and subscribe to this channel. And then like the videos and share them if you can, if you feel so inclined. I'd appreciate it very much. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to grow what I'm doing here. I'd love to spend more time doing what I'm doing here, and maybe getting. I want to. Right now, I'm doing green screen out of necessity, and I don't mind the green screen. The green screen's fine, but I would like to have a finished setting behind me, and that's what I'm working towards right now. I'm trying to work on that, and I definitely got to get this place insulated before winter comes, because it will get quite chilly in here, and the heater is kind of loud. So I don't want to run that in the background. But yeah, anything you can do. I'm not even asking you to throw $1 in the tip jar right now, because technically I can't have a tip. I can't do super chats yet. I'm not monetized on YouTube. I might set up a Patreon, or a Subscribe Star, or Parallel, whatever the hell's out there. I don't know. I might do something like that if anybody wants to donate. And I'm thinking about, I want to get a hat made, and see how that goes. Because if I like it, maybe I'll do a little, merchandise or something like that. I don't know. But for right now, I just want to keep streaming. And any feedback you can give, likes, or comments, things like that, very much appreciated. All helps this grow. So until next time, Who-Dey, and take care and have a great day.